It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts, Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish. Well, hello. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we are serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. Welcome, everybody. And if you want to like us and follow us and comment on all the wonderful things, make sure you find us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram and Twitter, and Threads. We're still threading. Also, make sure if you're watching us live and in the living color, you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. And if you're currently listening to our wonderful, soothing voice on your favorite podcast station, which includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, just look for us, Dishin Days, and find us there. And if you're on YouTube, find us on the podcast. If you're on the podcast, find us on YouTube. So that way you can see us and hear us whenever you like. Because that's how we do it over here on the Edition of the Days. Also, make sure you buy our merch. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mom. I just so happened to be possessed today. Oh my gosh. Oh, I should have been at my deal. Although this looks really spread out because I've been eating. But now, Michael Mattis, show the fine folks what they can order at dishindays.threadless.com. You can get yourself a Mellison logo, a Possess shirt, towel. Shut up. A Dishin Days logo, or serving up a full dish. Y'all know I'm nosy enough to where you can talk while I'm talking. I can still hear what you're saying because I'm that nosy. And if you're nosy, go head over to dishindays.threadless.com and get yourself some merch today. And make sure you head over to our former co-host and chocolate twin, Mr. James Lott Jr. is doing all the things and all the rest of the soaps because we only cover one. If you are a Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, or General Hospital fan, head on over to JLJ Media on YouTube and get your soap opera fix. And he also has some original audio dramas to tease and tantalize your ears. So head on over to JLJ, that's JLJ Media, on YouTube and support James of the Big Lots Jr. Before we head into our wonderful week of Days of Our Lives, if you guys have not noticed or have not heard, or you're just not in tune with what is happening yet again in our country, yes, the SAG-AFTRA union, which supports our actors, are now on strike along with the WGA, which are our writers. We stand in solidarity with them, and we are following very closely to make sure we are within those guidelines. But we do want to make sure that it is important that you guys know that we should support them. And your Days actors and soap actors are not fully affected because Days soap contracts are separate from the SAG-AFTRA strike that's happening in the union. They have their own separate contract that has been negotiated, which allows them to work. So we're doing great with that. Still the writer's thing that's happening. This all is going to sound confusing, but if you need to read up on it, make sure you educate yourself and look it up and follow along and support all of our SAG-AFTRA actors and our writers, because it's very important. It's a very interesting time in the entertainment industry right now.
Support the creative behind what you see and what you watch. The actual creative beings that bring it to life. Yes. Write it and bring it to life.
Yes.
And just
the people y'all stay mad at, support
it. And even though, as Tony mentioned, they're on a different contract, a lot of the actors are in both unions, or a lot of them will stand in solidarity on some of the requirements of the strike, even if they themselves are not striking. So that may affect a lot of what you see in terms of promotion and what they choose to promote or interviews and things like that. So just bear with them if you don't see a lot of them in the near future, as for however long the strike happens. Hopefully it gets resolved soon. But yeah, you may see a lot of those changes. So don't sort of panic or wonder why people aren't covering things or people aren't doing interviews. It's because of that.
Yes.
Yes, and I know that there is a ton of information that has made it out into the ether, made it out into social media in the last couple of days. It's a lot to keep track of. The soaps, our soap stars, our actors did a really good job, I think, of kind of educating their fans on what is and what is not acceptable during the strike. I know Lindsay Godfrey posted stuff. I saw Kristen or Shawn on the picket line. So they're, depending on their contracts, they may be able to actually strike and work at the same time. That's like a maybe. It's very confusing. It's a very confusing time. So just with everybody, lead with grace. The number one thing that you as a fan, you as audience can do to help the strike is to go to the Entertainment Community Fund and donate. So basically what's going to happen is in the next couple of months with the strike is that a lot of people are going to be hit on hard times. This affects housing. This affects healthcare. You have to make a certain a per capita amount of dollars every year in order
26,000 a year for actors.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it is for writers. It's different, but it's a certain amount that you have to make in order to get health insurance through the union. And I know that a lot of the Brit actors are striking in solidarity. They've stopped promoting their films. So the biggest thing that you can do if you want to help is to go to the Entertainment Community Fund and make sure that we can support them just to stay on their feet, just to have a roof over their heads while they're striking, because
rent is not cheap here.
Rent is not
for anybody.
Cheap here.
For anybody. And a lot of these actors aren't, living in mansions and don't have their life set. They're living in studio apartments, sometimes 3 to an apartment, just to get by. That's reality of most of SAG-AFTRA members.
Yes. That's why a lot of, and if you notice, there was a reason that a lot of soap actors no longer live in the LA area, that they commute. There's a reason for that. So please just go to the fund, support their most basic needs are gonna need in the next couple of months, and it will unfortunately be at least a couple of months. This is gonna be a long process because studios don't want to budge, and you can read more about that. There's tons of articles out there about who makes what money and such and such. We're not going to cover that here in depth, but you can basically read all about how this is a very worthy fight, and we as Days of Our Lives fans are going to be in it for the long haul with everybody. This is not going to necessarily affect Days of Our Lives, not just because of the shooting, the different contract, but also because of the shooting schedule that Days in particular is on. So we shouldn't necessarily see any effects, if any, till at least the new year.
Yes. So support your creatives, everyone. And let's hope that this ends soon. Hold on.
Definitely.
Oh, allergies. All right.
Tony, you got health insurance?
I do.
Okay,
I do have health. Donate so I can have health insurance. No, I do have health insurance. It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to live forever. All right. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. What did we think of this week's episodes of Days?
Fabulous.
I thought it was a pretty good week.
Yeah.
I was pretty engaged. I watched all 5 episodes all at one sitting, so just pounded through. I was like, oh, I want to see what happens next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we got some good movement this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all y'all have to say is yeah?
Well, let's get into it.
I thought this week
it was an interesting week. A lot happened. Agreed.
I want to talk about it.
There was a lot of people on. A lot of things happened. A lot to unpack.
All right. Well, then let's
unpack. It was one of those weeks I feel like the entire cast was on at least one day.
Yeah, everyone had a day. And let's talk about those days.
Of our lives. Of their lives.
It is now time to start.
Dishin
Dishin
Days.
Dishin Days.
Wow.
Nowhere near close.
Well, you came in when you did, so
We did what we did.
we did what we did. We every time we do that, I always say we need to do a sound bite of it so that I can say it's now time to start and just press play. Dishin Days and move on.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our first storyline, which is Sandra versus Cassandra. Our lovely Abe storyline. Whew. Okay, so I feel like this week, can we just all agree she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and is giving Misery soap opera edition?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So she didn't have a plan to do this. She just took an opportunity, and she's kind of been making it up as she went along, as she's going along. But she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She really is crazy, and I'm just like seeing her solution always be to drug him. I'm like, girl, now you're doing the most. And I keep wanting Abe to just, can you remember to be quiet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please.
Go along
Like,
until she leaves.
right. I find it funny though that Body and Soul is basically laying out the storyline.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's funny. What do you guys think?
I love that it's Lani who hasn't been around for the last year. I feel it's appropriate and it feels correct that she's kind of the one to now, like, and maybe it took an outside, a somewhat outsider. She's been out, in jail, but that she's the one that kind of, something, a light bulb moment went off and she, was like, oh, he was at the funeral and, she's on a time limit. She's got to go back to jail, but that she's the one that put it all together, that confronted Jerry, aka Old Theo, and broke him down. Not that it probably took a lot. Jerry seems like a little fragile, so he's an actor. So
Jerry didn't know what he was getting into. Like he said, like he was like, I just took an acting gig, and now he's like, it's. I think it's gone too far. And when he walked in and saw like you're moving, it's like I gotta go too. But like I think Lani, as gorgeous as she is, just standing there like.
Yeah. I know something's up. I don't know what it. I like that him being alive even was a surprise to her because I felt like she didn't know that part. I think she knew something was up, but she didn't know what the details were. And even like him saying your father's alive was more of a shock to her than, oh, I knew it. Tell me where he is. It was like, oh, he's actually alive.
Yeah, it was. I agree with everything that Michael said about it being Lani the one to find him. She's the investigator. Just because she doesn't have a badge anymore doesn't mean those instincts go away. And so, of course, she's going to follow all the subtle hints every which way. I really hope that Steve is just trying to play Nurse King.
He's playing dumb with her, but he actually,
he knows that it's her. Because that would have been too easy otherwise.
I almost wanted one because it was like all the light bulbs were going off for John and Patch and for Lani. And sometimes you don't know what someone else knows. And so when Chanel was like, yeah, she came over and she was helped out with this campaign, ding. She was also at the wedding, ding. It was just like one thing after the other. And then that made Patch and Steve kind of put things together. And then, of course, Lani talked to Jerry. But when Patch talked to Nurse King, I almost wanted him to walk away and call John and go, get to the house.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening. And then he kind of showed up and I was like, oh, okay, you could have called
I'm
John.
hoping it's like this thing that, how they do the flashback, to after the fact, after she left. I'm hoping it's some kind of situation like that, where after she left, then like Steve called John and said, hey, this is up.
Yeah.
Our chat room has no hope that Steve is actually on tube. They're like,
I
Black
just
Patch
assumed
doesn't have a
that's
good
what he
track
was
record.
doing.
They're like, nope, Steve's dumb. They have zero confidence that Steve.
I thought it was obvious that he was like he was questioning her like in a
The
roundabout
way
way.
he was kind of playing it kind of nuanced, and I
Yes.
was like almost like to lead us to believe that he was onto her, but just kind of placating to get more information out of her.
Yeah.
That's how I took it too.
Ditto. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're 2 steps behind Lani, because they're about to go try to find Jerry, whereas she went to Jerry and now has led her to Abe.
Yeah.
They'll show up after Lani takes him down, him or her. Yeah, both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's Sunday, guys.
Sunday's hot.
And then it was Body and Soul. Oh,
I love it so much.
It was really good. Those scenes were pretty good. My only thing is like that set looked so small, and to have the 4 of them like buddied up, I was like, oh, that looks uncomfortable. I'm sure it was fine. It just looked like that on TV, but and all the hair. Well, the hair took up most of the the wig of it all.
I was trying to think, like, okay, what set is that? And I felt like that it had to be like the Horton house or something.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like maybe like a hallway or something. I did find it interesting that, because doesn't a door usually open this way?
Oh, it opens out. Yeah.
And then
that's what was so. I was trying to figure out what looked so awkward about that. You're right. It was that the door opened outward.
Yeah. And then and then I kept trying to figure out, okay, so Abe is coming in as Henry Marshall. I'm like, well, what's that connection to James Reynolds, if there is any? We all know Sandra Clarkington.
Yeah.
Clarkington Town was that the name of her Costco knockoff?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Clarkington Town.
But it's so funny because I feel like the way Jack A was like playing it. Oh, Generations. I felt like it was.
Yeah.
Was that his character on that show?
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like Jack A was playing Sandra like Sandra.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. She was totally channeling 227 Sandra in that. Yeah.
Which was good, because I mean it was definitely a shift from Paulina. So it was definitely a clear different, thing.
And I like that they made this leap where it's him. It's I mean, he's not actually watching the show. It's him putting himself in the show. So it's I like that idea of, as opposed to like we've gone now from.
It's an interesting way of having his memory sort of
exactly. Yeah, it's like him working it out in his mind. He's not actually on the show. Yeah, like Paulina is.
Yeah. So kudos to whatever creative mind writer came up with this little other soap within a soap to kind of move this storyline along, because it's very unique, hasn't been done before that I've seen, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, and it's not the first time a soap within a soap has been done, but I feel like this was just done brilliantly.
Yeah,
well, I feel like it's what we wanted from Johnny's movie. Like we wanted them to show it or show the filming of it, and we're getting of course not the actual movie, but we're getting a version of that.
I was just going to pitch that. I was just going to jump off of that and say this would be a brilliant, in order to keep this alive, this would be a brilliant pitch to kind of jumpstart Johnny's film career, as he's basically doing nothing right now.
The revival of Body and Soul.
Yes.
And then like every now and then you walk into like the Horton house and Julie is like, oh, don't mind me, I'm just keeping up with Body and Soul, and then it like cuts to a clip there. Or I mean, listen, I've been saying this will be a great thing on their YouTube channel to continue. Just something, even if it's this wouldn't put us out because we discuss it more, but can you imagine Body and Soul being like a recap of like what happened like that week of days? Like each episode that they put out was kind of like a little
they sort of mimicked or acted out what the weeks were.
Like a recap trailer with the body and soul characters.
like how they were rehashing like similar storylines this week.
Yeah.
Like what if it was just Body and Soul was like an even more dramatic version of like what happened this week.
A quick
I love
little,
it.
yeah.
I love it.
Filling in with more.
And I gotta say, I love Kate's look the best.
Kate, no matter
Yep.
what character she's playing, whether it's Kate or whether it's what's her
Lorna.
name, like Lorna.
Lorna.
Both are completely over it.
Yep.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But it's good. But I'm glad that we finally have like. Glad we finally have some movement on the Abe storyline, because I think, like we said last week, that shot of Abe just like sedated and like crying kind of like put us all out.
Yeah.
And I think now we just want Abe to be returned home.
I think we need something lighter this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it later, but especially now that we have a new person in the mix.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Is it? Let's see.
I guess it's further down, but we can talk about it now because it's a tidbit. But
That's
I mean,
we'll
it's kind of a branch of this. So,
well, there's a lot of branches, so we'll wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, so that's pretty much all that happened with, and Nurse King is trying to get out of town. She's quitting her job abruptly, and Jerry is getting himself out of town, which also kudos to Tom Early and his crew for Jerry's apartment, which I was like, this suits Jerry.
What set was that? I couldn't remember. Is that an actual set, or was it? I was like, is this new?
I mean,
It may have been a recycled, but they made it look like I like looked around. I was kind of looking at the tchotchkes in the apartment, and I'm like, oh, it kind of fits. Like someone that age, a youngish single person.
Designed perfectly. I just didn't know if it was like a recycled someone's house or something. I was trying to like put that together, and I was like, oh, this could be a new set too that they brought out for him, but who knows?
I mean, maybe it's. I was going to say maybe it's like Paul's apartment redone, or Hope's house.
It was a little similar to Hope's. It was, It was a
like they just stripped everything out, kind of kept the shape, and it is Hope.
They have the door, the opening.
So I think it's I think it's usually.
But isn't that Shawn and Belle's house now?
Well, yeah,
Shawn and Belle, sure.
Yes, yeah.
But they got it from Hope. Yeah, but yeah, I think
the set that's been inherited from generation to generation. Like Jennifer, like Jen and Jack's house. Suddenly, Bo and Hope were living in it a couple years later.
Oh wow! But yeah, I think it is, and they just like stripped it bare and put up some different stuff, and then and then that's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But no,
I hope they find a way. I would be interested if they found a way to keep Terrell.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely bringing something to the show.
Yeah.
If they can integrate him, and then I don't know, something with Theo. Bring Cameron in.
He's done less than Talia has, and she's gotten a sort of a not clean bill of health, but a sort of a check mark on, she can integrate her back into society and say hello.
Maybe Jerry is somehow related to Terrence.
And that'll secure him in Salem, or will that secure Terrence in Salem?
Secure Terrence in Salem.
Do you guys remember the episode where Tony said he was going to give up Terrence?
Yeah,
but then he got hired for Beyonce, so that went right up.
Yeah, you think he got hired and great.
And now, guess who's back in the house? Heels click clacking about.
Terrence is in San Francisco.
Well, he can move to Salem. Everyone else does.
Right?
Okay. I can get booked on one of Stephanie's huge PR gigs as a DJ.
That's for rent and Salem's cheaper in San Francisco.
Huh?
I said, I'm sure rent's cheaper in Salem than San Francisco.
We don't know that. Like, listen, everyone lives with their parents.
Well, apparently there's a lack of available apartments that
I can live at the Salem Inn.
You can live at the Salem Inn. Those gross ass sheets and the twin beds.
Anyway, it's not about me. It's about the people who are actually on the show.
It's supposed to be.
And we'll move. I also thought there was a moment where like they were talking about the funeral, and I was like, "How's this funeral gonna go? Like y'all ain't got nobody."
Oh, I'm glad they.
That's why they don't show it.
But it's like who who decides like okay, well I guess we should do a funeral with no body,
no body, no physical body.
Yes. Not.
It was more of a memorial service. That's what they do. They don't do. My mom taught me this a long time ago when I forgot someone passed away, and I was telling my mom, I was like, "Oh, so and so died," and they're like, "Well, did they find her body?" My mom was like, "Did they find the body?" I said no, and she's like, "Okay, so what's going to happen is they're going to declare the person dead, and then they're going to have a memorial service, and everyone's going to pretend that they're dead, but it leaves them open to return." I was like, "Oh," and sure as shit, that's exactly what happened.
Your mom was really into soaps, huh?
She was. I remember watching Days of Our Lives with her before I was in school, like young little Michael, while she was folding laundry, and I was sitting there doing whatever. And I remember the hourglass, and I would be like, "Yay!"
Dang, she had those soap rules down.
Look, Mom, it's your show.
Just stories.
But I don't know why I pick up on the strangest things. I was like, "Oh, look at the program. It looks great."
It was nice. It was really well done. It had a really good picture of it.
They did. I wonder how James Reynolds felt though. Like, can you imagine walking in and like seeing that prop and being like,
I would much rather see my face on a program than see like my face like recreated on a dead body like they do in Yellow Jackets.
Ain't nobody trying to do that.
See how they do that, like
Yellow Jackets got Showtime money.
There's me, like
they got Paramount money.
Like a funeral, set.
Like, weird. Well, I mean, at first.
Yeah.
And if you know Yellow Jackets, you know why the at first is with an asterisk.
No, I don't. We don't know.
But
you seem to have enjoyed it. Sometimes when you say things to yourself, it turns into a private joke, and the rest of us are just kind of like.
I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of sangria. I'm really struggling with this light in front of my face.
Bless your heart. I feel like when Araceli is not working, she's just drinking.
I was celebrating the independence of France.
And we'll find a reason to drink. like she looks up, what day is today? Yeah. National Apples Day. I'll drink to that. And one with an apple.
Apple teenies.
Cider.
Goodness. Okay, now back to days. We will move on to Tea and Tunnels. The first part one with Rachel and Kristen.
That door. Okay, that door has just, I feel like for the last couple of weeks has just been going open and close. Open and close.
They're making it a joke now though. They're like, okay, like the fact that Marlena came in.
I know.
Why does it in the tunnel? Even Kristen was like, why didn't you use the front door? She's like, because I know you would. But after she explained it, I was like, you know what? It does make sense. Marlena's probably been held captive down in those tunnels more than anybody else. She probably knows how to get out and in, and was like, you wouldn't answer the door, so.
Yeah, however, Marlena's history with the tunnels explains that. Rachel being hidden in the attic explains her being able to come down from the tunnels. My question is, how did Rachel know to get into the tunnels the first time?
Rachel has proven to be smart.
Yeah.
This is the same girl.
Where did she come from?
This is the same girl that took an Uber to a prison and was able to get, like, there was no guard that said, little girl, there was a guard that said, oh, you're here to see Kristen Dimera? It's visiting hours. Come on in, little one. Like, this is a they're children, and then there's Rachel.
Well, someone said on another board, they were like, "Oh, Charlotte and Thomas probably told her like when she was over for a visit." They're
You
like,
know, these
yeah.
kids, when the parents
Because
are
the
all
kids
having their,
knew it, yeah.
these Dimera adults are having their shenanigans. You know, these kids are just running around. Kids can find stuff. They just discover
Yeah.
stuff. Like, that's how I took it. Like they must have been playing hide and seek. And then they're like, girl, I found this great hiding space. And that's how they discovered it. No one watches
Well,
these
listen,
kids.
I can guarantee you this: if they shenanigan once, they gonna shenanigan.
Mm-hmm.
Shenanigan.
You know what I now wish though? I now wish that Rachel, Charlotte, and Thomas
Apply.
just like traveled in like a pack.
Yeah.
Where like as soon as she walked out, and then Thomas and Charlotte walked
They
out and was
trailed
like,
on, yeah.
"See, I told you!" Like they,
This is why
they're now like a little like little gang of
Yeah.
like
We need
children
to-
that's meddling.
we need to see that. And this is why I'm always in earshot of the children. And I always get scolded for drinking around the children. But I'm like, no, let me tell you why. Because this lures them into a false sense of security. Because they think that I'm not listening. But really, I'm within earshot. So the minute that they see I'm having a good time, they're all over there like with their shenanigans. And then I turn around and say, and what are you talking about?
See, and they
This is how you
shenanigan.
get them.
This is what
I'm with Araceli. You can't trust children.
You
Yeah.
can't. You can't. They're
trust children.
always doing something, saying something. They're gossiping. They're completely untrustworthy little
Sounds like
monsters.
us.
we still do that as adults,
No, I was gonna say you're describing us.
right?
Yes, except they're shorter and you can catch them.
We're taller and still get caught. Anyway, let
With
me tell
middle
you.
age, we can't run.
Right, not with these knees.
Which is why
So-
you do within earshot. You have like a good 4 feet of distance so that they think that you're not listening to them, but you are. And then the minute they start with their shenanigans, you just literally need to reach out your arm and go like, what'd you just say? Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming to Araceli Sangria TED Talk on how to deal with children.
This will save you one day.
Oh, y'all let us know if it served you, and I want a full story. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen,
Wars in the chat. Yes.
my mom has returned.
Hi, Mama Moore.
I was
Hey,
wondering.
I bet she
hadn't
knows.
gotten a text.
I bet she knows. Hey, Mama Moore is wise. I bet Mama Moore knows all the tricks to
Tony,
making sure those kids
100%. When you are back home and you are on the phone and you think that you're being private, you know Mama Moore is like cleaning, or if it's she starts cooking something, and you know she's like,
yeah.
First of all, I learned to never have a conversation in the house if my mom was there.
Mm-hmm.
Like all conversations were had in the car before I got in the house.
You're
And
smarter than like 98% of teenagers today.
Well, yeah. Well, and if I had a conversation at home, it was one that was not spilling tea.
Mhm.
I knew better. Listen, I am my mother's child. Who do you think was nosy first? My mom. Guess who she passed it to? Me. Like
Mhm.
it's just a trait. The one thing that irritates me about this storyline is once again having Kristen in a position that doesn't make her look like the best mother.
She's
Yeah.
not the best
Like,
mother. There's no look about it. She's terrible.
It feeds what they say about her, and it feeds.
Right.
It just feeds it, and it's like she's not doing anything. She's actually not. Well, she did hide Rachel, but she didn't go get Rachel. Rachel came to her, and
Rachel came to
It was
her.
actually Marlena and Belle were kind of like a little bit the voice of reason this week, where it was like, she wants her mother. And I don't know if they were maybe playing Kristen or what, but they have, she has a point. Like if it went to court and Rachel said, I want to be with my mother, the judge would have to, and that's real. The judge would have to take that into consideration.
But it's also
like why go through all that if you can just concede and but that's not that's not going to happen. We saw that he tore up the thing.
Well, one, my thing was when, like, she was literally talking to Rachel as if, like, you're telling the story to Lani. And I'm like, you do remember, like, she's still a kid. And there's, like,
Yeah.
while I believe in, like, open communication, like, she's not your friend. So you kind of have to, like, make sure she understands stuff, but maybe she doesn't know everything until, like, she should.
She's not a good
Um,
period.
But
She's
also,
not a good mother.
the other thing is this: I don't care what you and Brady are going through. The second you saw Rachel walk through those tunnels, you should have called Brady and been like,
Yeah.
and I felt like the Kristen thing to do was call Brady and go, well, guess who I have here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Our
In his
daughter,
face, yeah.
who hated the camp that you sent her to. You know,
Mhm.
like that was her
And
leverage.
had she done, and had she done that, that was her leverage. But she's a terrible mother, so she went with her own the instinct that served her own purposes. And now, guess what? Brady's going to turn around and he's going to use that against her. The minute he gets eyes on Rachel, he's going to say, "Well, here's my leverage to go to the judge and say that you withheld a child from the parent who had full custody."
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Joe. I feel like she could have played it a different way and still sort of got her point across that would have probably made a lot more better sense and been more convincing. Because I do think, despite what she did or her lack of communication, I like the fact that everyone knew Rachel was there and they weren't frantic and panicked and they weren't worried. So I like that part of it. I also actually did like Marlena and Belle sort of bringing it up, like, this is continuously happening now, so you do have to make a choice, and at some point it can't be about who's winning and who's losing, because then it becomes about the parents going after each other. And the reality is, it is in Rachel's best interest to have some form of relationship with her mother. It doesn't need to be 50-50. It doesn't have to be 100%. Like, you can set those parameters too, but something's got to change here. And I think that was her overall point, even though Kristen was sort of backhanded in the way she got it, or actually, no, she didn't get it, as we'll see. But also, something needs to change. We can't have this storyline go on for another year of them going back and forth. Rachel running away and going to Kristen because
it only goes back and forth. Here's the thing: it only goes back and forth if Brady continues to be the nice parent. And based on what he did at the end of Friday's episode, I'm thinking he's done with that. I'm thinking that the gloves are off with him. He has had it because he has been trying up until this point. He has been trying to be flexible. He's been trying to be reasonable. He's trying to be reasonable with an unreasonable person. But the minute that Kristen used Marlena's life as leverage, he was done. He is, and you can see it on his face. He's done. He's done making compromises. He's done being nice. He's done being reasonable.
But it is a constant back and forth. At the end of the day, Rachel wants her mother in her life.
So then the only way
what Kristen doesn't want is, you know, not to have to, like, go through Brady to see her child. At some point, you just sit and you have a conversation and you work out, like, Kristen has to grow up, but Brady also has to be reasonable too. Like, I didn't like the fact that he came in, had those papers drawn, had her sign it, and then rip it up, because I'm like,
that was a dick move.
I'm like, well, here we go again. Like, actually use this moment to go, this is why we are where we are.
Yeah.
Because you keep making choices that benefit you and not our daughter. At what point, if you want to be a mother so bad, at what point are you going to step up and actually be one? Because the second our daughter arrived here, what you should have done was call me. I know exactly where she is. I knew she was going to be here because, yes, Rachel wants to be with her mother. But the second she got here, you should have called me and said she's here. Why would you not do that? Why would you use your daughter once again as leverage to get what you want? That doesn't put you in the best light again. It just doesn't make sense. It's like at some point I want Kristen to Maria Kondo this situation. Say a prayer over, say, thank you so much, Brady, for giving me Rachel. Thank you so much for what you have done. Tuck Brady away and like move on, because this consistent back and forth between I'm in love with Brady and I don't want anyone else to have him. I want to be with my daughter. It's like, okay, well, step up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get on a soapbox.
No. I hear you and I see your point. And the problem is like the time for that is over. I really feel like you really can only push people so far. And the terror that Brady felt, the grief that he felt when he thought Marlena was dead, I just feel like he's done.
See, I think the mistake is that Rachel is so small. So if from Brady's perspective, and this is where I think he goes wrong, he can't explain to her the horrible person that Kristen is in a way that she'll understand it. But because of that, you also can't hold it against her then. Do you know what I mean? So unless you're going to sit Rachel down and say that your mommy tried to essentially kill Grandma Marlena, if you're not going to do that, then you also can't hold it against Kristen because Rachel doesn't know any of that. So from her perspective, she just wants to be with her mother.
I mean, unfortunately, he may have to do that because the problem is that
that's
Rachel.
not either. You shouldn't.
Well, yeah, but well, I mean, I would never suggest saying anything without a licensed psychologist in the room, specifically a child psychologist. I would never suggest doing anything, making a move like that without having that conversation first. But specifically in this situation, I think something needs to be said to Rachel because now Rachel, because she's so small, because to your point, she doesn't understand, because she wants her mother in life, but she's so small, and things don't make sense to her. Somehow something needs to be said to her. Maybe, I guess, not full details, but something needs to be said to her to get through her head that Kristen is not the loving mother she appears to be, that while she may love Rachel, she has done things to hurt other people, like maybe say it in that way, because Rachel is now making very brash, very brazen decisions that, quite frankly, put her own safety in danger.
Rachel will not have to be told that because in a year or two, she's about to Google her mom. And will be able to read everything that she has done.
Well, that's the other thing.
I can't believe someone used the word nincompoop and spelled it out.
I love it.
Someone in the chat said Brady is a nincompoop. I have never nincompoop.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But something's got to change with the storyline. We can't.
Yes.
We'll see this week. It looks interesting. I don't know. Brady's at sort of his breaking point.
But yeah, you see it and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
I wish what would have happened was when he came over and he presented it to her, and before they signed or anything, and I mean, I guess this is not entertaining because I guess my mind is now crossing over into what should happen in real life. But just to like be done with this, just be like, ma'am, I'm tired. Your daughter wants to be with you. She is making dangerous decisions in order to be with you. She left camp and came here. Like, that's a problem. So let's work this out. Let's keep in mind, I don't love you and I don't want you back. And there's nothing in this world that will ever make me want you. Can you get over that? Yes, Brady. Perfect. Now we're going to do our best to make decisions on what's best for Rachel. And then Kristen can say what she needs to say. And then they move on. Let's figure out something else for these two.
Yeah.
I'm done. And thank you to Marlena and Belle for making some sort of sense to this. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to part 2. More tea and tunnels featuring Leo and Dimitri.
You called it, Justin.
I was going to say.
Justin called it.
Didn't take long either.
Jeez. Yeah, it didn't take long.
Here's the thing about this storyline. and it's not going to reach the people that it needs to reach.
Hmm.
Dimitri is another. I'm going to call him. Well, he said he's not straight. He hasn't really identified himself, but I'm just going to identify him as gay for now.
No, didn't he
I
say
feel like
gay?
he did.
Did he
said
say gay?
Monday.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
said
he
it.
did, yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. Let's do a little mini gay, history of Days, right?
Uh,
We first had an openly gay Sonny Kiriakis, right?
mhm.
We then had a I'm discovering myself Will, right? Who ended up together. We then were introduced to a newly out Paul, right?
Mhm.
Then we were introduced to sexually fluid Chanel. Oh no, wait, no.
Oh, what's the name?
Leo.
Who Brock played? What was
Oh,
it?
Brock.
Evan
Sorry.
Christian. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Then there was Christian Maddox, who was
I think
He was
it's
bi.
bi.
yeah, because
He
of
was bi, but it
yeah.
was never really fully explored. Then we had Leo, of course, who was just what we know as gay. We had Chanel, who's fluid.
Mhm.
Um, Bisexual Allie, who discovered that side of her. Craig, who came out late in the
Mhm.
game. With Dimitri, and what I find very interesting about this storyline is that now we are introduced to someone who I feel like was thought to be straight, who has to be straight in order to have this inheritance.
Mhm.
So he wasn't able to fully embrace who he was because there was a mindset of this is how you have to be. And I feel like this is another interesting way of showing a gay storyline of now what someone else kind of has to go through. Oh, I
Mhm.
have to marry a woman in order to do this, right? And it's like how some households are where you don't allow them to a person to be who they are because this is how society wants you to be. But it's not going to reach the people that it needs to reach because already people were like, "Oh, canceling Peacock. They're always shoving it in our face.
Really?
Blah, 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 blah." I'm like, you know what? Sometimes if you just take a moment and go for the journey, you may learn a lesson from it and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna stop watching at this point, then stop watching. I don't think that we want your audience at this point because guess what? Gay people exist, bi people exist, fluid people exist, trans people exist.
People
The,
exist.
the point that we're trying to make with all of these different, as Tony very eloquently laid out, these different um, colors in the LGBTQ community that have
The
been
alphabet
on the
mafia.
all the alphabet mafia that has been on the canvas for the last decade is that there's a whole range. There
Yeah.
is a range, and they exist. They exist in your backyard. They exist in your town. They exist in the city. They exist in the countryside. Get over it.
And it's like, it's no different than the kidnaps, fake pregnancies, murder amnesia, that
Yeah.
all the other characters have done. But the second a character is gay, it's how dare you put this? It's like get over yourself. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Edith Scarf.
I actually find the old world, specifically like the
Well,
Eastern European old world vibe to it, very intriguing because it adds a layer. Like if you are part of the community within the States or within North America, you can it's a very different vibe than in Europe, particularly Eastern Europe. Very different vibe than
yeah.
in Western Europe. Like if you were to attend Pride events in different parts of that continent, there
Mhm.
are different vibes. So for
Mhm.
Dimitri to be from that kind of old world family, that old world mentality, it does add a very unique layer to it.
Yeah. Michael and
Actually,
Justin.
I like that when we saw him sort of reveal himself to Leo, I like that it wasn't filled with angst. I like that it wasn't this isn't I wouldn't even say it's a coming out story. I felt like I think there's a difference between coming out and whether or not people know you're gay, and there's a difference between that. I also got the sense, of course, that he has a past with men. Obviously, this wasn't his first time having sex with a man. This wasn't. There was none of that hinted. There was no sort of nervousness.
He did have a confidence about him, like almost
exactly
like arrogant confidence that, like, yeah.
Oh, he's been around the block.
Exactly. Dimitri, I feel, has a past. It's just
You
that
can tell.
people don't know about it, and he obviously has kept that part of it secret. We know that Megan doesn't know about it, of course. We know that his dad's side of the family, of course, doesn't know and wouldn't approve of it. But yeah, I think I like this is a different aspect of it's not him like coming out as a 40-year-old man. This isn't him questioning his sexuality. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
I'm going to push back a little bit on the don't know aspect of it because we don't know what people don't know. When we we don't know that Megan doesn't know. We don't know that his father's family doesn't know. In those communities, you can know. You just can't outwardly, publicly know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that I think someone Tyler in the chat said the contract actually does say a woman, which is why he went after Gwen.
But I feel like maybe they would have tipped their hand here, but I think she would have handled Dimitri different if she knew he was gay.
Yeah.
I think she still would have wanted him to marry a woman for the money, but their conversations would have been different. From Megan's standpoint, there was no hint that, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we need to do this. It was, I need you to marry a woman. And also there was that point at the end where she was like, it looks like you actually like Gwen, so I may actually get a great daughter-in-law out of this. You may actually be happy with her. So I actually think she doesn't know that he's gay.
Yeah. Michael Mattis. Paging Michael Mattis. Fellow gay.
I'm just listening. I'm just taking it all in. I don't know if
there was a joke there, but I didn't say it.
Repeat what you said?
No, repeat.
Please don't.
Oh. I think Leo was the one that anyway.
Right.
From the conversation. Anyway, I don't know if I looked that deep into it, to be honest with you.
Because Michael Mattis was mesmerized. He hasn't gotten the other word yet. He was mesmerized by Dimitri when he took the shirt off, and he was like, he leaned into the TV a little closer. He said, "Oh."
I mean,
there was that one camera shot that I felt like, even though there was no like actual nudity, there was that one camera shot that I was like, "Whoa, that's a little."
Yeah.
And he sat Leo down in the chair.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa!"
Positioned over it,
I actually was like, "Whoa!"
Oh, because he was right there, and then he like knelt down, and I was like,
yeah.
But listen, I was with Leo's all emotions of just being conflicted and surprised, but also being like, because when Dimitri took off his shirt, I was like,
Gwen who? Yeah.
You're like, what was my name?
Poor Leo. He really tried. He really did try. I'm gonna give him credit for this one. He tried to be a good friend. But damn.
But
I just feel bad for Gwen.
Yeah.
Because she just can't get a man at all. There was Chad, there was Xander. Then she thought she found a ding-a-ling of gold, and she ain't even got that no more. Wow. But I find this another new layer. I find this very interesting. And I loved all the, listen, I see why Leo gave in, because he was like, I was immediately attracted to you. You're charismatic. You're this, you're that, and that jawline. And that. And I was like, is he talking to me too?
And I like that he was actually interested in Leo and wanted him. I did like that.
Yeah.
That part I felt was reaching a little bit. That somebody like Dimitri wanted Leo, but
Why?
Michael,
Because
That's
where we live,
that's
you
because he
internal
will
stuff.
want to he will want a Michael Mattis. Is that what it is? Because he
No,
should.
he probably wouldn't want a Michael Mattis either. I'm just saying. I'm like, oh, you were
Michael,
really
go out
Her?
your door,
her?
go to the street corner, and you'll see
See what?
that example.
A Dimitri and a Leo
Yes.
works in the community. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh, I know. I just but I'm always like a little like
you can throw a stone without hitting them. Okay. Truth be told,
I'm here for it.
It's a very interesting Sunday, guys.
This is interesting. Jack in the chat room says Peter's real life partner looks like Leo. Well, now that
I've never seen Peter's real life.
I've seen
Well, there you
it.
go.
I guess so. I mean, I guess he looks like. I mean, that's sort of a.
let me see.
He kind of looks like.
I'm not trying to put anybody's
Peter
business
did
out
post
there.
on socials, or no, he gave an interview to Soap Digest that Greg is an excellent kisser.
Oh,
He did say that. I did see that. Do not judge people's skills by their looks.
We weren't. Who was I? What?
No, I'm just saying in general.
What?
You never know
I did.
people's skills.
I did come across this.
People can have skills.
Mm.
Mhm.
Who took that photo?
Who took that
lovely,
photo?
lovely, handsome photo that appeared in Soap Opera Digest?
Not the hair flip. Not the hair.
Guys, 10 cents right here.
Oh yeah.
I can't. I don't see a picture of it. But now that
I
that
feel like
I've
he's that's a case where I feel like the partner is like not into the spectacle of the entertainment world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
A
so
lot of them aren't.
stays quiet.
Yeah, a lot aren't.
I mean, oh wait, maybe
What are you
this,
really looking?
maybe this is.
Like, oh my God.
But I will tell you this though. Like I'm in deep. I'm like
He's back to
September
2019 already.
Well,
Lord.
2020. But I will say this: I never like took a look at Peter's like Instagram, and like he's been on the show, but like I haven't done a deep dive. And now that I have, I'm like, wow.
He's best friends with Melissa Peterson because they were on
Mhm.
Baby Daddy together, and Melissa
Yeah.
Peterman played Barbara Jean on Reba,
She's
which is one of my favorite
delightful
sitcoms
human.
of all times.
She's a delightful human being.
Mhm.
Like there's I'm sorry, there are a lot of shitty people in this industry, and then there are those people that
Amen.
you work with, and then you're like, I need to be best friends with you for the rest of my life, and we need to go on birthday dates, and we need to have sleepovers. And Melissa Peterman is one of those people.
Barbara Jean, she'll always be Barbara Jean to me.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
Like she and Reba McEntire like this now.
No.
Anyway, back to
What are we talking about?
sorry.
Oh, Days of Our Lives.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to Peter. Yeah.
Shout out to Peter. I really hope that they start for the like I know this is his storyline now where he's trying to get this money. He wants to marry. He's got Gwen on the hook, but now he's having his shit.
Side piece.
I was gonna say having his cake and eating it too.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Just in the context of
Yeah.
anyway. So but I kind of want him to stay on the show and kind of I feel like he fits the Dimera family profile, I guess, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So I would once this storyline kind of wraps up, or maybe even parallel with this storyline, he could get more in the Dimera fold, and like he could kind of maybe come in and throw, because Stefan and EJ are kind of like you want to call them like they want to think that they're both like the head dudes of the family, and I would love it if Dimitri came in as like kind of maybe not the underdog, but came in and like threw them off for a loop and like tried to take over the business too. but prove that he was worthy of it. You know what I mean?
Well, just because Megan
lot of
is
work,
gone doesn't mean that Mommy's plans have stopped.
I mean, this is true.
True. She could be on the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strong Wi-Fi. What made Chloe and Xander think that they could do a quickie in the office? And did they not hear Gwen outside have a whole dialogue to herself before she walked in?
Of course not.
Nope.
Well, they did lock the door.
I mean, they did make a little bit of an effort by locking the door, yes. Yeah. But yeah, that was just, you do that when you're a couple and you're happy and you're, endorphins and hormones and shit. You think you get away with stuff.
Really early stage when people are totally hot for each other. Mm-hmm. And common sense is just like...
Before you start farting in front of each other.
I hope it's just... I hope it's just them having fun. I don't know if I want, I'm okay with them being a friends with benefits. I don't see like a long thing with them, but it's just literally like a friends with benefits sort of a thing.
Oh, it's time.
Yeah.
Jack seems to like it. Oh wait, no, that's a dislike. Sorry. What? I forgot what melatonin was.
Oh, well. All right.
I was like, I got melatonin. I was like, oh, that's oh no, it's not.
No.
All right.
I'm going with it. I don't mind them together, so I'm going with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind, and I'm pretty sure, Michael Maddis, you were probably trying to look behind the prickly cactus to see what Xander was.
His prickly cactus.
Oh God.
That line got me. The way Emily O'Brien delivered that, I cackled a little bit.
Props to the arts department.
Prickly today.
Where did they find that? Did they go to Home Goods and find that, or like a Ross? And they were
somebody went to some Goodwill or probably, you know what? Someone had it in their house. Someone had it in their house. Someone
white elephant gift.
Someone knew of a friend. They said, "Can we get permission to use this?" They said yes. And now the artwork is actually, you know who would know? Tom Early, if you're listening and watching, which I hope you are, can you please let us know where the cactus photo this week painting came from? It was very prickly.
Prickly.
All right. Well, those were your top storylines, and before we get into our
do we think so? Rachel now has this tea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Rachel heard. First of all, yes. I was just like when she was at the door, I was like, not in front of the baby.
I know. I was like earmuffs.
Like how much did you hear? And then she was just like, and then she gave a little. I'm like, you little Kristen, Sammy, and Kate in the making. I'm like, how are you 5 years old? She's not really 5. Are you 5 years old and collecting all the tea?
I'm telling you, at the wedding, she's gonna. And they're like, if anyone now has any, what's the line? Have any objections of why these two should rest now or forever hold your peace? And she's gonna stand up and say, she's gonna say, the groom got dickmatized by Leo.
She's not gonna do that. She's gonna blackmail somebody. She's her mother's daughter. She's gonna blackmail somebody.
I just think it would be funny.
You know who I hope it is?
Standing up and being like, he dicked down the other dude or something.
I hope that Lady Whistleblower and Rachel go toe to toe.
Yeah.
Where like something happens and she goes, I know your secret.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's not for me.
It wasn't me.
Well, it's not you because it's not a landline.
It's Rachel. It's Rachel coming to blackmail your ass.
You know what you know what I think? I think when this is off topic as we've been most of the time here. When I build a house, I want to build a Dimera tunnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that leads to where?
The
Just
living
a
room.
basement. Yeah.
Cracker Barrel.
Shut up. I will have you know that I now have a new restaurant, Michael Mattis.
Ooh, okay.
You should try it. It's called Mom's House.
Where's Mom's house?
It's Sunset and La Brea behind the
close
Burger
to me.
King. Yeah, you should go
Oh, by
try
the
that.
Burger King.
Huh? Behind the Burger King.
Raggedy Burger King.
I mean,
If
I
you're
have
ever
it-
in Hollywood, we have tips, guys.
I have it my way when I'm there. All right, so but not in the other way. So before we get into our tidbits, just a couple of reminders. Number one, follow us on all social media platforms. 2, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on your favorite podcast station. Buy something. And last, buy something. Do something. No, not my mom's house. The restaurant
That's what
is
I thought
actually
you meant
called,
first, like you were trying to be cute.
No,
and I was like,
the,
he actually
the
means
restaurant is actually called Mom's House.
Yeah.
we were not besmirching Burger King in general. There is a particular Burger King in Hollywood that's hashtag sketch.
I mean, I feel like anything in Hollywood is a little sketch, but
I mean,
anywho's it's. All right. She finally chooses.
Oh, God.
thank fuck. Like,
Yay.
You even have to go. Yeah, she chose Trip.
Yeah.
Shocker. Yeah.
The
yeah,
end.
not a shocker, not a surprise.
They lived happily ever after the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
I did enjoy
on that.
the scene with Wendy and Lee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was very emotional, very poignant scene betwixt them.
Between stuff. I just feel bad for Lee. Poor
Yeah.
thing.
I do
Maybe-
not.
He just needs to find a Dimera Island to go sit on and just reflect. Come back as a different
Yes,
person.
he needs a minute to just be with Lee and Lee only.
Yeah. Lee only.
Lee only.
Yay. I'm glad she finally just chose Trip. Johnny, don't be butthurt. Like, you just not in it. And now we can move on to the next storyline is who is this man coming in acting like as the acting mayor? This man, his name is Clint Rawlings, right?
Yeah.
Rawlings, yeah.
He reminds me, and I just said this on Twitter, he reminds me of those new housewives that they try out. And they come in and they're trying to be so extra and do so much. And when he was talking to Chanel and being like, you're the one that came in and made Salem a mess, I wanted to be like, Salem has been a mess for the past 55 years. You mean to tell me that it's just become a mess? I mean, hello.
And then he went through like all of her like dating history. I'm like, how is this relevant? Creepy.
Not at all. I was like,
It's not. He was like, what's her name that came into the OC Housewives last season? She's gone already.
oh, I don't watch the OC.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Oh God, what was her name? Starts with
Exactly.
an L, maybe. Anyway, yeah.
I was
Coming
like,
in hot, trying to do too much. You're
Just
at a 10, bro. Take it down to like a 5.
just coming in
Creeper.
way hot. I was
And
like,
don't be creepy.
Creeper,
Don't be harassing the
misogynist.
young businesswoman by herself in Town Square.
As Michael Mattis
Trying to-
said, small dick energy.
Small dick energy.
SDE.
something about those sangrias that bring out a different side of.
Look, she's like
She's all leaning and stuff.
I mean, in general, I just feel like we have so many stupid rich white men. I have too many to deal with in real life. I don't need them in my fictional world as well.
Well, you know who he also reminds me of is Trask.
But I actually like Trask. Even if she's
Yeah.
being an
We
asshole,
did.
I
He has
actually am like,
layers.
yes, you be an asshole. With
We
this guy,
did.
I'm like, no, go back to
But
your yacht or whatever the fuck you're
Trask,
on. Like, get out of here.
comes in. She comes in hot too. Like remember in the beginning, she was coming in hot. She was like, "I don't care if you did it or not. You got to go to jail."
Here's the thing though, with the difference with Trask, it's intention. Trask is rightfully upset because all these people just keep getting away with things.
True.
Yeah,
So
he's
what
coming
she
across
said.
like a very disgruntled, like he's basically lived in Abe's shadow over the years, and like
Mhm.
has this vendetta against Abe for either what he feels people, Abe's too
Small-
soft.
I believe
little
the
white man.
technical term is hubris
Who?
and small dick energy. Hubris.
I feel like SDE still accounts better. Still, I feel like hubris is a little too eloquent for him. SDE still, I think that taps it up really, really well.
Mama Moore has spoken.
What should she say? Ah! Ah! Now.
I promise I'm having tea for the rest of the day, Mama Moore. I promise.
Dylan.
I love that she also texts me that as well. Like she's like, in case it doesn't get shown in the chat, I'm also going to text you. Can we talk about Shawn?
Oh.
What a mess.
Drinking is for your Sundays off, people. It is not for I'm clocking in for
Not during work. Not during
8
work.
to
Don't drink
10
during work.
hours of work. No.
Here's what I was upset about. Trask wanted you fired. Rafe had to do like a compromise because he understands what you're going through and says you're suspended. Oh, what about you hooking up with Jada? And then here comes it's like, and then of course, because Jada is who she is, she confesses to it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just a mess. And now I'm looking at Shawn like, do 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 do. Like, dude, like, come on. You could have just took your suspension and been like, I'm gonna go get help. But no, you had to pull down everything. And I'm
Blabbermouth.
still with Rafe. What I do on my time off ain't nobody's business.
Mhm.
As long as it does not affect my job. And he was correct in saying, me hooking up with Jada doesn't affect my job. You having drinks does affect your job.
Mm-hmm.
So you are in the wrong, and be glad that you still have a job and that you're being suspended. Oh, on your way out, you want to act up?
The key
Well, I'm glad-
term here is judgment impairment. One of these people is completely judgment impaired. One of these is not.
Well, let me say that I'm glad that this incident is what sort of, so for lack of a better term, sobered Shawn up in order to go and ask for help, because I think he really did feel bad, and I don't know if he was ever gonna actually go through with that threat. It seems like he probably wasn't, but also, not for nothing, we love Rafe, we love Jada, but he probably deserves to get fired. I wouldn't have fired him, but
Suspended.
that was their way of like rationalizing it to themselves that of course you're not having sex on office hours, but come on, like
It would be one thing if, like, if they were like Xander and Chloe and they were in his office and she's all doing number 17, the spread eagle. But no, did it like after work. Like,
Which book are you reading, Tony?
Shawn got on my nerves, huh?
Which book are you reading?
The Book of Days.
The Book of Body and Soul.
That's better. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, there's that.
The John Doe rage.
What?
Yes, this is why we have the issue in the first place.
Okay, now that
was
I
different.
actually agree with.
Yes.
And there
But
were a
that's
ton
why.
of people who, back in the day when that happened, completely agreed with that assessment.
That's why you have rules like that. Not, I mean, again, who cares? But that's why we have rules like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on. I have one question for you guys. For Harris Michaels. Harris Michaels, what are you doing here?
Oh my God.
Is it Bayview or Airbnb for Harris Michaels?
I'm hoping this wasn't a goodbye.
I don't think so.
Do we? Yeah, I don't know any information. I'm hoping
So
not.
Steve
complete waste.
Burton he posts videos every now and then, and it's clearly at excuse me, clearly like at days, like in the hallway or whatever. So either he stockpiled them, so either he was there temporarily, he stockpiled these videos while he was there, and that's what he's posting, or he's still
good
working.
Okay.
Maybe it's a break. Maybe it's just
Okay,
they're resting the character for a minute.
Yeah.
They are still. I feel like they're still like touching on something with Kate, him and Kate. Like intentionally, like I don't know. I feel like that if they're doing that and just gonna drop it, I'll be a little disappointed.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily relationship related. But if there's just starting steps to build a friendship, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. So I like the friendship idea, or like Kate looking out for him because he's all alone essentially in terms of characterization.
I'm usually okay with a friendship thing, but I don't know. For Kate, I want like a messy affair or something with Kate. Like that's more of what I want for Kate.
The funny thing is, as soon as he said Bayview, I thought like, ooh, him and Ava. Like Ava immediately popped into my head. I was like, yeah. I was like, who else is that Bayview? Yeah.
They've worked together before.
Which would be a reunion for those two actors.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Yeah, they would like it. I was fully prepared to go into those scenes this week very disgruntled. But I think that the way that I was, because I've been over it. I've just been so over the way that they've used Harris Michaels and Steve Burton. But I think that the way that they played it, the way that they described it, it really felt like they were having a conversation about PTSD. That's what that conversation felt like to me, where it just, he's a soldier, he's talking about how he can't trust his instinct, he can't trust his body, he can't trust his mind, that,
I mean, it also sounded like he just hated losing control and being susceptible to other people's control so easily.
Yes, and that's how a lot of soldiers who come back with PTSD talk about it, is like where they something just will happen and they're not where they physically are. They can't control their own movements. They can't control their own reactions. And it really felt like that was the conversation that he and Marlena were having, and he was being proactive in his steps to say, maybe I'm good right now, but I'm not just doing this just because of Megan. I'm also doing this because I've been through the ringer and I recognize that I need to process my trauma and I need help. So that felt like a really real conversation, and I didn't hate it. This is true.
All right. Well, that's it with that storyline. Marlena to the rescue. She did it. Why? Because she's Dr. Marlena Evans Black.
It took her like 5 minutes.
And then our last tidbit. Is that our last tidbit?
There's more?
That's it. Everybody. Salem. I know y'all got more than one apartment available at a time. Why is everyone looking at the same apartment?
It's a housing shortage in Salem.
It ain't no housing. Well, yep, because that's why everybody lives in Salem Inn. But I'm like, girl, like Stephanie and Chad. Then here come Alex, who is moving across the hall from them, and then here come Brady. I'm like, girl, y'all can't be like, oh yeah, I was looking at the one downstairs. Y'all was looking at the same one.
No, I love that one apartment fits all of their needs. They're all.
Mhm. Oh, and if anybody comments on why didn't Brady just move into the apartment that Alex took across the hall from Stephanie and chat, it's probably because it was a 1-bedroom, not 2-bedroom.
That's what I thought too.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think that it was a good choice for Alex to move out of the Kyriakis mansion?
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that too, but I'm also just kind of sad because I'm sorry to say I blame Maggie for how their relationship ended up being.
Yeah,
we were
I
actually
blame
on
Maggie
break.
for that.
We never talked about that dissolution of them really coming to a head and how it's been like. I mean, we've talked about it before in terms of like, oh, we're not really liking Maggie here. We're more on Alex's side, but I mean, it came to a head where it's like, okay, now we're not at war with each other, but it's like, okay, game on, kind of a thing.
I just
Everybody's
don't think
against Maggie right now.
I just don't think that what she accused Alex of was correct. Mm-hmm. I think when he went to that meeting, he did his best to kind of stay the course, but the guy was just like, what is this? And there's something more creative. I like your drive. I like how you thought. And if you had just given Alex permission to make sure that he was taken care of within the means of Titan, Alex would still be at Titan. You would have that account and everything will be fine. But listen, like I said, I feel like Maggie should just be at home in the Kyriakis mansion playing with her tchotchkes and making lemon bars.
It's just that Maggie has turned into this person where she really is acting like her ego is hurt, that she has something to prove. And again, this is nothing against her wanting to be ambitious, but if you're going to be that ambitious and start out that late in the game, you do have to take responsibility and learn from people who've been doing it longer than you, even if they're younger than you. They've been doing it longer than you have. They technically do have more experience than you do at this point. It has nothing to do with lack of respect. It has everything to do with lack of experience.
Yeah.
And that's why Alex is taking responsibility for everything that he's doing. I'll give him that.
See, I don't agree with this. People are being sexist against Maggie. If she were a man, no one would be saying anything. No, I feel like if a man came in and was doing exactly what Maggie did, I would think the same thing. Like just coming in hot, being so anti-Alex right off the bat for no real reason, and just being so hard-headed that you couldn't accept the fact, like Araceli was saying, like you couldn't put your ego aside and learn from someone even though they were younger. If a man was doing that, we would feel the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
EJ and Stefan do this all the time, and I call them out on it every single time.
Do you call them on your landline?
No. No. I call them out on this every single time, and they have the experience, but they act like such. And they're just
They are like such what? Your Wi-Fi went out.
No, it didn't go out.
Oh, what'd you say?
They act like such DIC case.
Oh, we can say digmatized and small dick energy, but now
I don't know. I just let me finish my thought.
Okay, you can finish your thought.
When you act a certain way with people in the workplace, no matter if your ego is letting you get the better of a good deal, a good business, basic respect for another person's point of view, then yeah, I'm going to call you out on it. Male or female, I don't care. The Dimeras, God knows they've been doing this for freaking ever, and that's why they can't get that company together. It had where that company had the most stability? When Gabby was CEO. She was a woman.
Right. Or when Kate, I mean, yeah.
And Kate as well.
Kate and Sammy.
They were strong, confident women who actually learned the business, had varying levels of experience, but actually did their homework. Maggie's not doing her homework, and she's not listening to anybody. That's the difference.
I kind of wished, I remember when, and I call this sort of like Lady Macbeth, where they had Maggie being like the advisor. Remember when Stefan and Gabby were trying to go for Titan? I liked that Maggie. I liked her in this sort of like advisor role. And I think that might have been interesting to have her take over that role, because that role, more so than not, is usually played by Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of coming, even though he's not the CEO anymore, he comes in and sort of still has a ruling over it. I kind of feel like they should have went that way with her, because this like CEO is not doing the character any favors.
No. Well, good luck, everybody. All right.
God bless them.
Well, God bless them, everyone. Oh wait, was there anything else left? Oh, Chad's gonna take over Alex's job with Maggie.
I mean, there's going to be friction there with Alex, no doubt. I actually hope that there's friction with Maggie, because then she'll see that it's not everybody else. It's not Alex's problem. It's her.
Yeah, I think the walls have officially come down on Stephanie and Alex now. She very much considers him a friend, and even is sort of looking out for him. The way she questioned Chad about taking the job, like, what will this do to Alex, kind of a thing, was like, okay, you're slowly creeping back in there.
All right, well, that was your week of days, and it's now time to hit on over to our segments, and we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
All right, so my 3 snaps goes to a little one who knows what she needs to do in order to survive the mean streets of Salem, USA. That's right. The bandit herself, Miss Rachel. Is it Black or Dimera, or Dimera Black? Rachel, Miss Rachel Black, scowling from a camp that she didn't want to be at, finding herself into the Dimera tunnels, and also collecting tea was just all in a day for Miss Rachel. And she is now starting to be cut from the same cloth as her mother. So for your little sneakiness, little Rachel Black, you get Tony's official 3 Snaps Award. Go Rachel. And now it's time for
Caption that.
All right, this week's Caption That goes to this picture, or this week's Caption That photo is courtesy of Kristen and Marlena, just looking like they hate each other's guts. And this week's caption goes to Annette Christian Thompson with Annette Christian Thompson on Instagram with her caption, "Now that Megan has left, can I get my Queen of Crazy crown back?" I almost stumbled. My Queen of Crazy crown back.
Mm-hmm.
Cute.
I read it in my head, and then I read it out loud. I was like, "Oh, that's a tongue twister."
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, congrats, Annette Christian Thompson.
And that was
Caption that.
and now it's time for
Those were the days.
All right, taking everyone back to July 11, 2014, where Sammy sort of started her revenge scheme against Abigail. And here we see a little picture of it for Abby's affair with EJ. And I had to use this picture. I actually remember that scene with Sammy sort of storming over there. I think a lot of times we love to hate Sammy, but deep down we know her schemes are crazy. But this was one time where I think people were on Sammy's side, and rightfully, and it was interesting to have it against Abigail, and then with Jennifer and Jack sort of in the middle there. But yeah, this is one time where I think we relished in Sammy sort of going after someone. Yeah,
you know, it's really funny. Oh, go ahead, Just you'll finish.
Another thing people forget is it's not just the EJ affair; it was the fact that Abigail was sort of pretending to be Sammy's friend, and those two actually got close, and that's why a lot of Sammy's vengeance was toward Abigail, because it was like, oh, I finally have like another female who Sammy does not all the time get along with other women. So it was like this breakthrough of I have, Abigail's my girl, and she's really sort of standing up for me. And then to have that come down, to have that be revealed was sort of a shock.
You know, it was funny when this photo came up. I was like, but wait, Ashley Benson didn't play Abigail when this happened. And then I looked, I was like, oh no, it is Kate Manning. She's younger.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That was like, oh my god, I remember those. That was such a steamy affair.
Yeah.
Like we were
Mhm.
all in it. And when
The
Sammy
shower,
found out, it was like,
the
ooh,
Horton
oh yeah,
cabin.
that shower scene at Dimera Enterprises. Ooh. And I
And
still
when
remember
Sammy
when
found
she
the photos.
Yeah,
but I
and
remember when Sammy was there and she was like, EJ, and Abigail was like,
Yep. Hiding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind the shower curtain.
it just made the revenge all that greater.
It is interesting because I've had that kind of relationship with the character of Sammy where I have never been on her side about anything. I'm like, you are raggedy. You have always been raggedy. No matter what you do, you're raggedy. Then this happened, and I was like, oh, because this is when when the scheming character now has to be like the vengeful. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was great to see Ali Sweeney as kind of like vengeful, justified vengeful.
Yeah,
not just
kind of
Oh,
in
yeah.
a weird way became the heroine of that story.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in a weird way. Yeah.
using her deviousness for for not for good, but like it's justified.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was it was good, and I remember the wedding too. I remember I was like, oh, this is the wedding episode. It's gonna be good.
It wasn't her best dress.
What?
It wasn't her best dress.
Sammy?
Yeah.
Well, because she knew she wasn't getting married to EJ. She knew what she was doing.
Right.
This is what, I think this is also the point in time where Days was doing like the budget weddings. They've kind of backtracked a little, and the weddings are starting to get bigger. But there was a period of time where the weddings were just, and Will and Sunny's wedding was bigger, but like where they were just having like very small, like the group, the bride and the groom, the bridesmaids, and then that was it.
I'm not even talking about the wedding. I'm just talking about the dress. It like the last couple of dresses that Sammy wore for her weddings were not my favorite.
Noted. And that was
Those were the days.
I feel like there was something else I was about to say. Oh, my other favorite moment was, do you guys remember when JJ and Eve hooked up? And while he was dating oh my god, what was her Paige?
Paige, yeah.
I try to forget.
And Paige found out, and they were having like a party at the Horton house, and she was JJ was like,
cake.
Paige. Yeah, the cake had flipped over, and then she went to walk away, and then she came back, and she went boom, and I was like, and it cut to Mary Beth, and they were just like,
the fallout from the reveal of that, like when Jennifer caught them, that was gold. And then the Paige confrontation, that was also gold.
So good.
So good.
A lot of affairs
We're gonna look that stuff up. That was good stuff.
That was around the same time as the EJ and Abby affair too, like a year later.
Like within a year or two, yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of good affairs around that time.
And now it's time
salaciousness.
And now it's time for
It's a gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to the Queen of Faces, Miss Paulina Price. I'm not sure what this face says, but
like,
you know when someone makes this face that just run.
It was her clutching her pearls because Theo was like, sorry, I'm blunt. Because he was like, well, my dad found the love of his life, Paulina, who first came to Salem and wanted to start Pricetown, which was dumb. It's like,
no, you did not just call me dumb in my husband's eulogy.
And then she was just like, keep it. But he like he was like, which is dumb, and I was like, oh, so funny.
Yeah.
And that was
It's a gift.
And now it's time for
News and gossip.
We're starting off with some actually really, really sweet, lovely news. We have some engagements this week from the Days family. We have Miss Sal Star Wars and her new fiance, John Michael Carlton. They were actually engaged back in April, but sort of kept it under wraps. And she recently, this past week, revealed it. Go check out her Instagram at Sal Star Wars. They have really beautiful, beautiful engagement photos
They are a good-looking couple.
They are,
Oh,
yeah, gorgeous. And then Miss Jessica Sarfati plays Sloane. Sloane, right? Yeah. Okay. In her fiance Leonardo Del they actually did a People exclusive on sort of their story, their engagement story, and a little bit about their relationship. But yeah, go check that out too. So big congrats to Sal and Jessica. Yeah.
And next up, we have a return. For anybody wondering if Philip Kyriakis was coming back to the canvas in the next month, yes, he is. He's just going to have a slightly different face. The role will be recast as John Paul Yes, as John Paul Lavoisier, who played Philip from 2015 to 2016. For those who remember, he will be reprising the role of Philip Kyriakis starting next month.
Can you imagine if they got Kyle Brandt?
He's busy.
Yeah,
He's
that'd be
booked.
quite a
He's booked and busy.
I still will never forget when he came onto the show, and I was like, "That's the guy from Real World Chicago."
Yeah, that was a shocker.
Yeah, and then I met him. He was cool.
He wasn't that bad, actually. He wasn't,
Oh no,
not my favorite, but not as crazy as people.
He's doing, and he's busy. He's like a sports, dude. Like like not sports caster. Is that the term?
Yeah,
but something. But
yeah, he's working. Next up, we have some birthdays and anniversaries. Big congratulations to Mr. Greg Rickard, who's celebrating 20 years in the soap industry. Started off in 2003 on YNR as Kevin, and then moved over to Days, of course, in 2018 as Mr. Leo Stark. But yeah, just a big congratulations to Greg.
His character on YNR gave a teenage girl chlamydia.
What? Wait, which one was that?
Kevin, his character Kevin on YNR, within his during his first few months.
Yeah,
he was,
which character?
Huh?
Woman. She's asking.
Yeah,
which lady? Lily Winters.
He get Lily?
He gave Lily Winters chlamydia. They
remember that.
Hooked up in a chat room, and then he tried to torch Colleen Carlton.
I remember the Colleen stuff.
Yeah, because Colleen was trying to protect Lily from him.
Yeah.
And now he's everybody's favorite character on that show.
Yeah. Let's just preface this by saying he's done 20 years in daytime, but the first 2 or 3 years, Greg Rickard was playing so freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations to Greg Rickard on 20 years. Next up, we have some birthdays. Big happy birthday to both Judy Evans and Susan Seaforth Hayes, who actually is celebrating 80 years. It was her 80th birthday, but yeah, big happy birthdays to both of these ladies. Yeah, and they're such good friends in real life. I mean, that's why I wanted to get a picture of both of them together, and I was like, this one of them. It's so funny. They're such great friends, and I've often played rivals originally when Bonnie first came to the show. So yeah, big happy birthday to those two ladies.
Nice.
All right, next up, we have upcoming dates for the day players. They're currently on tour. If you follow them on social media, you can see that they've been hopping around a couple of places the last few weeks. Next up, they're in Phoenix, Arizona, August 6th. Then they'll take a little break. Got to come back, do your work. And then in November 4th, they will be in Huntsville, Alabama. November 5th, Nashville, Tennessee. Go to thedayplayers.com to get to your tickets.
Yes, and last but not least, we have some sad news. Morgan Fairchild, who played Angelica on the show a few years ago, her longtime partner of 36 years, Mark Sealer, unfortunately passed away from complications from Parkinson's as well as COVID. So we just want to send prayers and condolences to Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, she sort of deals with this. Really sad.
Yeah. And as you guys know from earlier, we're not sure if we should further promote fan events. So we're going to try to dig up other news and gossip for you. But until we figure everything out, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
All right. And now let's Oh, that was.
News and gossip.
And now it's time to find out what is coming up on this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive Days of Our Lives.
Howdy, neighbors.
Your daughter is keeping a big secret from you.
My son, Philip, he's alive.
Are you saying you might be pregnant?
Who is this woman?
This woman is your worst nightmare.
You don't get to kidnap my kid. You're not calling the shots. I am!
Days of Our Lives.
Damn it, Brady.
I told you.
It's just like when
I told you. He's done.
it's like the lady that people are putting at the end of. There's this lady that people are putting at the end of memes, and she's outside, and she's just like, and she starts walking away. That's Tony. Exactly. Tony's done.
Yep.
Tony has left the building.
Yep.
And
Well,
we kind of see new old Philip next week. His face was in that promo at least, so interesting.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen this week on Days, and we'll be back to serve up a full dish next Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who have joined us, thank you guys so much. If you're new here, please come on back and tell a friend. And if you want to find us, we'll let you know right here on all social media platforms. Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, Twitter, and the new Threads. And also make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel. And find us on your favorite podcast station, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and also buy some merch. And of course, you can find us individually. Michael Mattis, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, kind of, at ML Mattis.
Justin.
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And Araceli, where can they find you on the multiple platforms?
Find me on just Instagram and Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And you can find Little Old Chocolate Me on all social media platforms, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, YouTube, down the street and around the corner. Just at Lounging with Tony is where you can find me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another teasing and tantalizing show here on Dishin Days. We'll see you back next Sunday. But we'll do it all again. Until then, have a wonderful week. Stay safe and enjoy all the days of our lives. Ooh, I'm going to have to start using that. Bye, y'all.
Bye.